This is another edition of the Dirt Racing Podcast. There's no fancy music for this episode, as on Saturday, the Racing World and the Willowella Late Model Series lost one of their own in Rick Eshelman. Ben Shelton will be along to talk some memories. We'll also have the Dirt on Dirt plethora of people talking about Rick in a video, in the audio. So sit back and if you haven't met the man, at least you know the voice.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hi Ben, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, Marshall. How are you, buddy?
With the tough circumstances, pretty good.
Understood.
If you don't know what we're honoring Rick Eshelman on this episode, and you worked with him personally, I heard.
Yeah, for probably I'm getting old, almost 2 decades off and on. I've worked with him, so yeah, Rick and I went way back.
And I know he had some of the sayings and what I saw the Dirt on Dirt video.
Yeah, he was all about the one-liners. You never knew what was going to come out of his mouth, and then sometimes you heard one-liners that you heard all the time. But yeah, he was quite the comedian. You just he was all in it to make you laugh for sure.
Yeah, and did you precede him at the Outlaws, or was he before you?
He was before me, and then I think in like 2013 he left mid-year, and that's when I started working with him. And I finished that year, and I worked the next 2 years. It was either 12 or 13, I can't remember. I worked 2.5 years, and then I left. And for 1 year, Matt Preer was there, and after Matt, they brought Rick back in. But yeah, I did it for 2.5 years, and he and I were friends before, during, and after. So, no hard feelings on that. Like I said, we had a long friendship and a lot of memories and experiences at racetracks, and a lot of things that I'm going to carry forever.
Wouldn't he be on the Nelson Rushmore 1A with Essex?
I mean, everybody's got different opinions on that, but I mean, it's hard to argue that, he's one of the original guys. I mean, he announced for 40 plus years, and not how many people can say that. I mean, I hope that one day I'm lucky enough to say that I've been doing it for about 20 years and he did it for 40 plus. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the all-time greats.
And were you at the Hall of Fame induction this year?
I was watching him and James get inducted. I was actually sitting right there front row and got to see both of them put in. And I think that's why it's so unbelievable. He was talking about the next 5 years, what he wanted to accomplish in announcing before he retired. And, just very hard to believe everything that's happened in the past, 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, it was tough to believe too. I barely knew him. I just knew the voice.
Yeah, and the thing about our sports, you hear people announce, and they feel like family. You might not even know them, but you feel like you do. So it makes it that much tougher.
But has the Outlaws announced roughly an idea what they're going to do yet?
No, they haven't, and really, it's too soon. They got a race coming up here in a few weeks, but right now everybody's mourning, and even if I was the person, and I'm not, even if I was the person that was going to be, taking over his role, I don't think I'd want it out there right now. It's just right now, it's all about Rick and the memories of Rick.
Speaking of, have you seen through Psycho Billy, there's going to be a race in Kansas?
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard some small details. I haven't dug deep into it, but somebody actually told me about that today.
Well, it sounds like the Outlaws are promoting it.
Well, I think they had a couple of events out there anyway, so I think they're going to take advantage of having one of those and make it in Rick's memories. So yeah, it's like I said, everything that everybody's doing is great, and even after all this, his memory is definitely going to live on forever.
Yeah. Any personal stories you could just share?
Yeah, there was a lot. Just man, you never knew what you're going to get out of Rick. And, I probably think about like Lernerville and the Firecracker 100. And for a month leading up, him growing his beard long and wearing the Uncle Sam hat and the outfit, and just a total team player. We always laughed about that. He took it above and beyond. He did whatever he could to make the experience better. He was great with fan interaction. He was really good every night. He would, from the redraw to different contests to riddles to things like that. He was in it to really entertain everybody, and I always respected that a lot.
Especially with the World Finals when you have all three different announcers.
Yeah, I was lucky to get to do that when I was at the Outlaws there 3 different years, and that was always quite the experience. But I filled in for 2.5 years there, and I didn't want to be committed to anything for 50 to 60 events a year like that, and but it didn't feel right either. I mean, the Outlaws, that's him, man. The Outlaws were Rick Eshelman. Rick needed to be there, and they had a little bit of he needed a break. He took a break, and when I could feel, he and I had some conversations when it was close to him ready to come back. That's about when I was ready to leave, and really it made more sense for him to be there. Like I said, when you think about the World of Outlaw late models, you think about Rick Eshelman, and that's why it's going to be so hard going to these events now and not seeing him there.
True. And then also his post, the dog lover.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one thing he and I really, we agreed about. I'm a huge dog lover, man. When I go to racetracks, I just love seeing everybody's dogs, and kids are okay, but I'm all about dogs. I just, they bring me happiness, and those wagging tails, they just make you happy. And Rick was the same way, man. He loved the dogs, and he'd get down on the ground, love on them, and that's one thing he and I, like I said, we had in common, is that just huge dog lovers.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up on this part?
Yeah, I just want to say, he's going to be missed, and he's going to be missed forever. And there's never going to be another Rick Eshelman. And, his passion is going to live on forever. And I'm just thankful that I knew him and that I got to be around him. And, there's definitely parts of when I announced, there's things that I picked up from him that, I incorporated into my style. And I'll always, just bottom line, always remember the guy.
We'll pause on this part real quick, and Ben will join us later in the week on another show.
We lost an icon in our sport over the weekend. Longtime late model announcer Rick Eshelman passed away. While I know his death was tough and unexpected for many, we wanted to show our love and gratitude to the Dirt Late Model Hall of Famer. So Kid Rocket looks underneath Van Wimmer, they touch in turn 4. Josh Richards has the number 2 spot. He goes to work on Shanahan for the lead. Kid Rocket trying to get the lead, but he can't do it, so Van Wimmer goes back to the inside of Richards. He'll take second.
He changed my life. Royal Jones got me the opportunity to announce. Corey Mull got me the opportunity to travel in the Southwest, and Rick got me the opportunity to announce nationally. I wouldn't be on this video cast if it wasn't for Rick. A lot of you people wouldn't know who I am. You know what I mean? He's the one that got me the national stage. He found me, I guess, when I was 13 years old, announcing out in Tucson. He meant the world to me, man. I really don't want to get emotional again, but he, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done the Summer Nationals. I wouldn't have done the 2.5 years I did the World of Outlaw pit reporting, things like that. So he always pushed me to my limits. He always wanted the best for me. I know that. And he was like a dad to me, you know what I mean? We traveled up and down the road, always hung out with him, a lot of eats, a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts, a lot of FaceTimes, believe it or not. He got rid of the flip phone and got the iPhone. A lot of good nights with Rick, and traveling up and down looking racetracks, and just, I don't know, man. I loved him, and, I just hope I, exceeded half of his expectations that he had for me, you know what I mean? So I just forever thankful for him, and he changed my life forever.
I don't know. It's just like, I know he realized it, but it's just, I don't know if he could truly ever realize the amount of people that he touched in racing. I mean, there is not a racetrack that you can go to coast to coast that somebody in that pit area does not have some sort of story about Rick. I mean, just the way he was with people is unlike anybody I've ever met.
It's the final lap as Shepard has done it. He has spanked the horse.
Oh my God.
After Pierce.
Oh my God.
Showdown. Slide job in turn number 4 by Shepard.
Oh no.
Shepard cuts him off. Checker fled. Shepard wins.
My
Shepard
God.
wins. Shepard wins.
I would think
think that's probably true. And he took a lot of pride in what he did, and he really cared. It's like, when we came up with the firecracker race, and, half jokingly one year we said, we need you to dress up as Uncle Sam. That's what we need to do. You kind of look like Abe Lincoln, you could be Uncle Sam, and he embraced that and like grew out his beard every summer just to be Uncle Sam. And he, how many people want to get in the suit and be Uncle Sam? Well, Rick Eshelman did, and he loved it and he cherished it. And, it was a big moment for him. And like I said, he grew out his beard for 2 months to look like Uncle Sam, and just things like that. Those people are hard to find, and they're always going to have a memory. But you're right, man. Mark is right. Of all the people that interacted the most with the fans and had the most interaction with them, it was Rick.
Yeah, he's really like the voice of the World Outlaws. He really is, kind of like James Essex is to Lucas, and Shane Andrews. Isn't Shane Andrews the one for the sprint cars? What's his name?
Shane Andrews does the big blocks. Johnny Gibson's the sprint cars.
Yes, there you go. I had him backwards. But that was what Rick was at to World Outlaws. Ben Shelton had a small stint in there, but really, like, especially since YouTube and all that took off and you could watch the highlights. Like, I watch the highlights religiously every day. And, just Rick was like, you knew his puns and his, like, kind of sayings and stuff through when you listen to a race. And at some points, it was almost like repetitive. Like, you knew he was going to say it, but it was still kind of what you expected. Like, when you tune into a World Outlaws race, you just knew you were going to get to hear him, make the call in his own unique way. And it's what made him stand out for being the World Outlaws announcer. He did a really good job. And he was definitely someone who was passionate about what he did. You know what I mean? He loved his job, and there's not many people that can say that they truly love like every minute of what they do. And I think that's something that you have to respect and really admire about him, is he was so passionate about what he did. And to some people it might have been a small portion of what goes on in racing, but realistically, nonstop when you're watching a race, you're constantly listening to him. So he played a big role in everything that was going on, and calling races and being a part of the World Outlaws and Dirt Car and everything. So I was a Rick Eshelman fan. I enjoy listening to him for many reasons, and got to meet him. I think he started back in 2016 is when he started back with Outlaws, and that's the first year I ran Outlaws. It was 2016, 2017. So he was not a rookie. He was a seasoned vet, but I was a rookie. And, he was like one of the first people that actually talked to me. Like, I literally ran 6 months and nobody even knew that I was on tour. Like, I was just there. And he was someone that kind of like took notice and always spoke to me and kind of went out of his way to make me feel like I wasn't such an outsider. And, by the end of that year and going into the next year, I started to pick up some momentum. And he was someone who I felt like was kind of always in my corner, like wanted me to do good and probably pumped me up more than I deserved. So he was just he was a really, he really was he was a great announcer, a great person, and someone that'll always be missed and remembered in what we do. It's just crazy how he was literally at Florence in the Hall of Fame, and my buddy Jerry Bowersock he came to Florence, and I was like, what are you doing, Jerry? He's like, well, Rick invited me. Me and him been buddies for forever. And I didn't really know that. Like, Jerry's my neighbor that watches my dog, and then Rick's the World Outlaws announcer. Like, you didn't think that was two people that'd be really good friends, but they actually were really, really good friends. And Jerry came out and was telling me all about the, all about the Hall of Fame ceremony and how it was going and this and that. And, it's just crazy that fast forward to where we are today, the situation. But, somebody that we'll always miss and definitely never forget.
So Brian Shirley leads by a car length in turns 1 and 2. Shannon Babb gets a good run off that second corner. Now he has to get on the binders because Shirley shut him down. Babb will step to the outside. Shirley down low. Babb with a run off turn number 4. Abba-dabba-doo, Shannon Babb is going to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think everybody, if you're just a fan, you probably are going to know him as the guy that had all the crazy nicknames and all the crazy sayings, I don't know where he came up with some of that stuff, but he was definitely one of a kind in that aspect. And then, I think he was everybody's friend. Like, that was the weird thing. Not weird, but it's just how his personality was. Like, my crew guys were hit hard by it. My mom, my wife, you know what I'm saying? And even, the chief car sponsor forever, they were really good friends with Rick. Like, he connected with everybody. And it's like, I was talking to Dougie yesterday from Cheap Cars. He's like, he goes, wherever we were, if we were camping, he goes, he would come out into the campground and find us just to say hi and give the dogs a treat, and I know that's for us, everybody knows Rick was an animal lover, and they always came by to see how my dog was doing and my mom's dog and give them treats and showing them off to everybody. And then, with Baby Wynn, he was the same way with her. And he just always made a point to come out of his way to say hi and have a talk. I felt like with everybody at the pits. I don't know how he did it, but he always did. And I know for me, I think he'd stop in on the Summer Nationals there the last few years. They'd have him in there for a week at a time or so when he wasn't on the Outlaw deal, and it was just always a refreshing change to get him to come in. And because it gets to be a bad grind and it's hot and everybody's tired. He'd always come by with something to say or this and that, and just give you a little bit of seemed like a little bit of a break or a little bit of a fun spot for your day there. But he definitely was one of a kind and just all around great guy. And it's just definitely gonna be weird not having him at the track. And I know for us, all day Saturday we were kind of sitting there at the track. Everybody heard the news that something he was missing, this and that, and we were also, well, I guess it was Friday night, and we were just all, what I'm saying, when something like that happens, you kind of probably start preparing yourself for the worst case scenario, because obviously it's probably not going to be anything good. And we were all just, there's a bunch of us there, and we stayed at the track all night, and we were all talking about it and worried about it. And then Saturday came, and just we got the news, and it was not a fun day. Everybody was just kind of down in spirits and stuff. So, and just not just my team, but all the teams, and the promoters and the sanctioning body and stuff we were at. But it was just a sad day for our sport. He's just such a great guy.
Man, I got the word about noon on Saturday at I-30 Speedway. I was in my motorhome, and man, I didn't want to believe it. It didn't seem possible. And man, Rick and I go way back. Some of my earliest events were with Rick, and we're one big family in racing. And in racing, if you're family, that means you have some fights sometimes. And damn it, me and him had some fights, but we had really got to a good place in our friendship. We talked a long time at Fairbury. The irony was at Fairbury, I'd taken about a month off before that from the road, just taking a break, and he checked on me 2 different times at Fairbury, and I think that's what I'm going to remember most. It's like, hey, man, I just want to make sure you're okay. You've been quiet the past month. If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. And, man, damn it, I wish I'd known. Maybe he needed somebody to talk to, but, there's no way of knowing. But, I really enjoyed getting to talk to Rick there, and, yeah, he's just a fixture. Whether you liked Rick or not, there's no two ways about it, man. His passion for the sport was like nobody else's. And he lived to race. Some of us get excited for rainouts. The Rick Eshelmans and James Essex of the world, they're a different mold. They get sad when it rains out. I think probably I was driving my motor home yesterday from Little Rock, and I was thinking a lot about him. And a memory that came to mind, and it involved a race, but it didn't involve a race. We're up at West Plains, Missouri, Show Me 100. And he was up there, and I'd called him. I was like, hey, man, we got barbecue nachos at the motorhome. Come by and get you something to eat. And Rick was not going to pass up a meal. So he comes by, and he's sitting there, and he gets him a plate. And at the time, I had a black lab named Sissy. And Sissy's mooching off of him, and he's like, do you give your dogs table scraps? I was like, yeah, not a lot, but we give her some. So he's got a fork. So he takes a bite off the fork, and then he gets a big scoop of barbecue nachos. He holds it down. She takes a bite off of it, and I'm kind of laughing. And then he goes right back to it, and he takes a bite off the same fork. And I'm like, Rick, what are you doing, man? And he's like, oh, hell, her damn mouth's cleaner than our mouth is. I was like, Rick, she just licked her butt, man. And so anyway, we laughed. He just like he loved racing, he loved dogs. And that was one thing he and I had in common. And, and then I think one more memory I have that I laugh about, we're at one of the first times I announced with Rick down at Magnolia Motors. Actually, the Magnolia State 100, but it was still at Columbus Speedway. And him and Ross were they're like fire and ice, but they were friends. And Rick's down there, and Rick just keeps going on and on with this victory lane, and Ross is wanting to get this next race going. So finally, Ross reaches over and unplugs the XLR cable out of the board so that Rick can't talk anymore. And Rick's trying to figure out what went wrong down there. And, man, a lot of memories. Damn it, we're going to miss him. I know part of getting older is you lose people that mean a lot to you and influences, and Rick was a big influence to me. He influenced a lot of people, and I can't imagine going to World of Outlaws race now and him not being on the microphone. his passion, his love, and I know that I'm not alone seeing how social media has been. So it's definitely an emptiness inside of me, and I don't think it's going to go. I think a lot of people, it's not going to go anytime soon. But Rick left his mark. He left a lot of nicknames on a lot of people that I busted his balls about sometimes. But I thought the world of the guy, and through the thick and the thin, he was always there. And, we loved him. That's all I can say.
Down the backstretch for the final time. The crowd rises to their feet. The 36th annual World 100 will go to the Hurricane of Pearson Jr.
Oh, yeah, I mean, from middle of 2006 to middle of 2012, I was with the World of Outlaws and traveling up and down the road, and that's back when Rick was driving the hauler for the World of Outlaws. So he loved that hauler. Maybe not. No, he really didn't love that hauler, Matilda. Him and his girlfriend at that time, late girlfriend Sandy Holt, was a scorer, and they were going up and down the road, and and he just is one of those names and voices and faces that everyone knows. I mean, when you're an announcer for a national touring series, you almost are more well known than some drivers are, really, because so many people feel like they're like you're in their homes now, especially now too with streaming and hearing those announcers' voices. In all those years, so many of the years when I was with the Outlaws, I stood right behind Rick in the announcer's booth as he was announcing and calling races and giving him little notes or something, tapping him on the shoulder and giving him something to say if he missed something that happened on the racetrack or something happened in the pits. And I heard his sayings, oh my God, it's the dirtier than the top shelf or whatever, the father's top shelf of his magazine, the dirty magazines. And I mean, I heard all his little sayings so many times that we were numb to it. You hear it so many times you don't even realize it. But then I'd see people in the grandstand and they'd be snickering and oh my God, what did he just say? They only heard it. We always forget. We hear them 40 or 50 times a year.
They only hear him once, maybe twice.
Most of the people in the stands that only heard him, that's the only time they hear him all year long. So those jokes that he would tell would always come through to them.
Oh, 100%, man. Obviously this goes back. He was calling summer national races when I first really got going there in 16 and 17. And, Rich has been one of those guys for a long time that I've been around pretty much my whole life. Obviously I've been around racing a long time, so getting to know him has been special. But, the thing about Rick is just, no matter how your night went or anything that was going on, anytime you had a conversation with him, you're always smiling and laughing and carrying on. And, one of my favorite memories actually was a call that he made. I remember it perfectly. It was Kankakee. I want to say it was 17. It was a heat race. And I started up front and I fell back to about 5th. And I got going and I actually ended up passing, I think, Moyer Jr. and a couple other guys in the very bottom of 3 and 4. And he did his famous busier than 4 cats in a 1-foot square litter box. And, one of the, just one of those things that he said that you don't even know where it came from, but, you never knew what he was going to say on the mic. And obviously he brought a lot of energy to the entire pit area, to fan country. And then, they know the voice of the Outlaws is Rick Eshelman. So, I'm going to miss, just like I said, just the everyday conversations. We sat at Boyd's last week. I signed in and we just sat there and talked for 15 minutes and asked how Mom and Dad was doing because they were racing that night. And, he'd always been on me about, you're going to get your first win soon. Just keep digging. He'd always come over if I had a good night. At Cedar Lake this year, I was running 3rd and had a problem and he'd come over and he said, I really thought it was going to be a night, but it's coming. And, I was really, really hoping. I couldn't wait to hopefully eventually get one, and he was going to be the one announcing it. Obviously, that won't be the case, but we're definitely going to miss him. It's not going to be the same without him.
Now Pearson goes for 2nd. He'll look underneath Bam in turn 2. Bam too hard on the high side. He'll hold old Pearson off. Bam again goes down underneath Jake Van Wormer 3 wide. underneath. Matt gets around him, tries to get Van Wermer. Van Wermer will grab the lead. Pearson to second. Matt third. Richards fourth. McDowell fifth. Murphy sixth.
He left on his own, and then, he wanted to come back, and I think there were some people that they had tried, different people, and it was just wasn't the same without Rick. And Rick and I had a talk one day, and it's what he wanted to do was come back. So I went to bat for him, and I told Tom Deary and some other people that, hey, we need this guy back because he is the face of the Outlaws. When you think of the World of Outlaws and you were a fan, one of the first things you had to think about was hearing that voice on the PA. And, he was always upbeat no matter what was going on. He really never had, there was one thing about Rick that I can say that probably was something I admired about him. He never played favorites.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that was it didn't matter if you was an outsider that didn't race with the Outlaws. You got the same respect as the people that raced with the Outlaws. And, I just think it's going to be hard to replace Rick Eshelman.
Van Wermer again right up by the wall. Gets a run underneath. Pearson coming out of fourth. Pearson will hold him up in the line. Now Van Wermer gets the run down in one. He'll slide job over Pearson. He's up by the wall. He smacks the wall. He's in the wall. Pearson goes back in the lead. Van takes second. Van Wermer back to third.
Inside. Owens will shut the door. O'Neal with a big run off for two. Here comes the real deal. Second. And Lanigan will battle back for wheel to wheel. Lanigan gets second back. 6 to go. 5 to go coming up. Who's it gonna be? O'Neal down the back straightaway at the slam on the brakes. It'll be 5 to go this time. Those three drivers busier than 4 cats in a 1-foot square litter box as they work up a turn number 4. 5 to go, it's Jimmy Owens. 5 to go, Chief Starter Rick Foley. Owens, Lanigan, O'Neal. Who's it gonna be? Carrier closes. Here comes O'Neal down the back straightaway around the inside. They're side by side. O'Neal throws the slider. They touch. O'Neal is second. With 4 to go, they regain their composure with 4 laps to go. Jimmy Owens has no idea what's going on behind him because now Don O'Neal is in the hunt. Here comes the real deal. Trying to make it an outdoor sweep in turn number 4. Oh, Brandon Shepard right in front of Jimmy Owens. Here comes Don O'Neal. O'Neal is right on him. No driver from the state of Indiana has ever won the World 100. Down the back straightaway. Here comes Eddie Carrier Jr. Eddie Carrier Jr. 4 cars for the lead at Eldora. 2 to go, Rick Eshelman. They're under a blanket. Darrell Lanigan will take second back away from Don O'Neal. They both close in on Owens. O'Neal on the binder. Lanigan in the wall. Here comes Eddie Carrier Jr. Eddie Carrier Jr. to second. Here comes Lanigan back. O'Neal. Owens. Can he hang on? Carrier. 1 to go. Here comes Carrier. For a career win down the back straightaway. It's not over yet. Will he throw this line to Rick Eshelman? Final 2 times. Here they come. Here comes little Eddie. Eddie Carrier comes up short and Jimmy Owens wins it.
50 laps. Out of 4. Green flag in the air. State line showdown. Bronson. Side by side as they enter turn number 2 for the first time. McDowell down low. Not much room for Dennis Erb Jr. Had to get right in the tire tracks of the 40B that allowed 17 Emma McDowell to close in. Lap number 1 at the line. It's going to be Kyle Bronson, McDowell, Erb, Gustin, along with Chris Madden, the top 5. Not wasting any time tonight. Would like to go back to victory lane with the World of Outlaws. Long way to go, though. 50 laps, 10 more than last time, but McDowell's not wasting it. He's going right after it. Dale McDowell across the line. Still can't lead. He trailed by 15 one-thousandths of a second. Got the nose advantage on Bronson. Now he's got half a car. Bronson will answer back to the outside. Dale McDowell so smooth on the bottom of this racetrack. He knows it better than anybody. He will lead lap number 4.
Hedgecock trying to get up into the top 5, one thing at a time, get past 6th place Blair, and then go after Matt. Dale McDowell starting to set it on cruise control early here. McDowell trying to make things happen. The Mac Daddy. Field all the way around. Gustin is now to 3rd, and Gustin is about to take 2nd away from Brunson, and Herb's about to take away the spot from Kyle Bronson as well. So Kyle Bronson getting ganged up on. Gustin 2nd, Herb's 3rd. Bronson falls back to 4th. McDowell setting a pretty torrid pace here as he comes down for lap 27. The advantage over 2nd place Ryan Gustin is 2.423 seconds. A huge lead for the Mac Daddy. 15 circuits remaining for McDowell. So now, Dale McDowell will see caution for the first time. And I believe it's on the backstretch. Let's see what shakes out of turn number 4. Green flag is out. McDowell fires. We are back underway. So McDowell, Gustin, Herb, Bronson, Matt, the top 5 will come out of turn number 4. And it is now starting to get down to brass tacks. 36 in, just 14 circuits remain for McDowell. 14 career feature wins. Looking for 15 here tonight. If he would get it, he would move into a tie for 13th all time with Chuck Frank. And off the cushion, Tyler Millwood in turn number 4 is going to bring out the 2nd caution of the evening. Tyler Millwood brings out caution over at turn number 4. We'll have to wait and see what the fate is of the 31. It's up to McDowell to fire anywhere between 3 and 4. He gets on the hammer. Everybody follows suit, and Kyle Bronson's going to steal 2nd away from Gustin. So Bronson will take the number 2 spot for the moment. Gustin's got to find his groove and get his composure back. And he does. He just hammers down the backstretch on the high side. Gustin going after Bronson out of turn number 4. Battle for 2nd will belong to the Reaper. McDowell holding on. 6 laps to go. Differential down to 0.4 of a second. Again, McDowell slides up the banking. Here comes Ryan Gustin. He's within 2 car lengths. The Reaper going to the top side for the lead. McDowell trying to hold him off. Will it be a crisscross move in the line? No. 1 car length. 1/10 of a second lead with 5 to go. Ryan Gustin's going to throw all caution to the wind on this final lap and a half. And again, big run off of turn 2 for Gustin. He has caught McDowell. Does he pin him down low? White flag in the air. One more time around. Here comes Gustin. Crisscross at the line. It's a half a car length lead for McDowell. McDowell will get the elbow from Gustin. Gustin, your new leader. Now McDowell's got to play catch up. Into turn number 3. McDowell now low. Gustin up high, slips. Out of 4 they come. You reap what you sow. The Reaper has just won here at Boyd Speedway. He is ready to climb out. The Reaper, Ryan Gustin.
He was a lot better down the racetrack than we were, so I knew it was time to just get up on the wheel and do what we could do. I mean, that guy right there is one of my heroes. I've watched him since I was a little kid, and to be able to outduel him feels pretty dang good.
After the run you guys had last night, and of course the misfortune, what kind of is this redemption for you and somewhat to be able to finish a race in such an exciting fashion and to be able to win here at Boyd?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, history has shown we're not very good in the South, so to get our first win in the South feels good. Can't thank all the fans for coming out. I need to thank all my sponsors too: TriStar Engines, Transmissions, Molly, Ramirez Motorsports, Fast Shaft, Swiss Springs, VP Race Fuels. List goes on and on. Rocket Chassis, Mark Richards, he's been a big help. It's everybody that helps out. I can't thank him enough.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why do I say always thanks for listening and see you next time? I never goodbye, because goodbye's forever. Goodbye, Rick Eshelman. You'll be in our hearts, in our memories, and thanks for what you did.